Well, so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Trip Smoke Pit. Tonight we're talking to one of my TikTok buddies, the Hipster veteran, and we already got the pleasantries out of the way. So, fucking, what's up, dude?
Not much, you?
You know how it is, man. Fucking getting drunk on a fucking Tuesday, talking to people.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, what are you drinking tonight?
Trying to pull up my inner Joe Rogan, doing a little Buffalo Trace tonight.
How is that? I haven't had it.
It's pretty good, honestly. I mean, it's older than America itself, so.
Well, I mean, is that bourbon, whiskey, rye?
It's bourbon.
Okay, all right. So it's gonna get smoker. I end up talking whiskey a lot on this fucking channel, and I've learned fucking nothing the whole fucking time. Though I did have a buddy that came up not too long ago to visit me. He brought a bottle of was it Lagavulin? If you had that, it's what Nick Offerman's character drank in Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be this like high end, good scotch. And I've never bought it because it's like $80 a bottle, and it's like I'm gonna try it somewhere else first, and if I like it, we'll go from there. Tasted like a burnt fucking tire.
Nice. Very nice.
Not pleased at all.
I mean, I would not expect anything less from Nick Offerman. So
I mean, I guess, but I mean, like if we're going whiskey, I'm on the Jameson side of that table. I got too much Irish in me.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely get the Jameson game. Me, I tend to lean more towards bourbon. Knob Creek, honestly, tends to be my go-to.
Okay.
This is actually my first bottle of Buffalo Trace. I've been loving it. So.
Oh, okay, well, all right then. Well, isn't that fun though when you like take a risk on some alcohol and you're like, this is either gonna be good or I'm gonna hate it. And if it's good, I'll drink it. But if I hate it, well, I'm not gonna waste alcohol. I'm just not gonna have a good time. Well, I'm gonna see how much coke it needs to goes into this.
Exactly. It's like, how much do I need to water this down just so I can down this, get fucked up, and just enjoy the rest of my night?
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And then I do enjoy a good cocktail, but like, if I'm drinking whiskey, I want like either a large ice cube in it, or it just neat.
Yep. No, that's my favorite thing. One of my buddies, in fact, I forgot to ask you, you were stationed more in 29 Palms. Were you on Pendleton at all?
So, I ran the gambit with that shit. So, I went to Paris Island. Then my MLS school is in Maryland. Then I went to Pendleton and then deployed twice with units from 29 Palms. So, thus spent a lot of time up there. And then deployed with a unit from fucking goddamn Camp Pendleton. Then I went to Quantico, and then at Quantico I spent half my time either TAD in Maryland or North Carolina, and then heavy air quotes here deployed to Japan from Quantico. And then when I got back, I hated Quantico so much that I walked into the fucking monitor's office and said, "Hey, listen, I've been on station for like 2 years. Get me the fuck out of here." And he's like, "Well, if you wait till you've been on station for 3 years, I can send you to North Carolina, or I can send you to 29 Palms in a month." And I was like, "Send me to fucking 29 Palms, get me the fuck out of here." So I spent my last 3 years in Tucson, and I fucking loved it. I'm sorry, where were you going with this?
I actually forgot. Oh, no, there was this bar that everybody would go to, the Stampede, and I think it was out in Temecula, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was a little further north.
Yeah. And I just remember one of my buddies, he was got his DD214, leaving, we're throwing a big party. I just remember this one guy started off the night Jack and Cokes, then it went to double Jack and Cokes, and all of a sudden he's just like, hey, look, I asked for a Jack and Coke, but I asked to hold the Coke, and he's just holding a full glass of whiskey. I'm just like, all right, dude, you're not driving back. Yeah,
no, I when I got to 29 Palms, I had already established myself personally as a career. Well, I wouldn't say I was an alcohol abuser. I taught it a fucking lesson. But to assert dominance amongst the younglings in the barracks, because like when I got out, like I'd been in for about 12 years and was still a sergeant. Because like when I was getting med-sept, I wrote a letter to the board saying, "Hey, listen, now that I'm in the below zone, like don't promote me from the below zone, even though you're probably not, but like I'm getting out in like 4 months. Like it's like somebody else."
Yep.
But to assert dominance, I would walk around the barracks and I would drink Budweiser and then like chase it with Jack Daniels just to fuck with But I can't do that anymore because I'm 30 and acid reflux is a fucking thing. So every time I drink, I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack.
No, I feel you on that one.
Lemmy.
What was that?
I'm not Lemmy. I can't be doing that.
Yep. Surprisingly, and I'm just a straight up glorified pogue. I am probably one of the few Pendleton Marines that has deployed out of Pendleton, well, San Diego, because of the Mew. I'm one of the few Pendleton Marines that never went to 29 Palms.
What Mew did you go on?
15th.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I did the 11th.
Okay, yeah. No,
so
yeah. What was that?
Air winger then?
No, I'm ground ordnance. I would call myself a glorified armor. I was an optics technician.
Okay, so on that though, like I have a cheat sheet that I before I have somebody on, I cyber stalk you for a bit, and then like usually I only bring it up if there's like a lull in the conversation. So I said whatever I can flip to my card. But one of them was you hinted at something in your TikToks that made me think, air wing for some reason. But the air wing is, or not the air, but marine aviation is the Navy's, Army's, Air Force.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah, you said that on my one where I was talking about Bella Porch, and I'm just like, yeah, we have this famous TikToker that's also a veteran creating her own music and everything, and I'm just like, she did my job, but she did it in the air, and I did it on the ground.
I don't know who Bella Torch is though. Like I remember that video, but I had no idea who that was, and I wasn't like, yeah, I'm gonna look that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because 90% of the time, when somebody's like, oh, hey, this TikToker, I'm like, swipe up.
Yep.
But who is that? No.
Oh, I'm trying to think. The whole Build a Bitch song that's been trending on TikTok for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's her.
Oh, well, good for her. Good for her.
Oh, no, she's been blowing up. And then I'm like, I saw her. She had like this one video where she just smiled at the camera, got millions of views. I'm just like, okay, well, keep scrolling by. And then I found out, oh, she was in the Navy. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And just blew up out of nowhere.
Well, if I'm going to be honest, if I had to do it all over again, at the time I joined, I probably still would have joined the Marines. But if it was any other time besides like the mid 2000s, I would have joined the Navy and just been a fucking who are the dudes that were always painting everything? The fucking they had anchors on their fucking hands. It's like they're like us. I'm drawing up boatswain's mates. Yeah, I just been a fucking boatswain's mates. Dick around all day on ship, fucking hate my fucking chief because I'm fucking cleaning all day, and then spend my entire life in foreign ports collecting venereal diseases.
I mean, that's the way to do it. Yeah, unfortunately, especially during the start of the deployment, and I'm saying the start of the deployment for a reason, I was in a very stable relationship especially going into Thailand. And me and my best bud, we left the deployment both single, and we were just in the smoke pit one day, and we were just like, man, if we went into the deployment single, Thailand would have been a much different story.
So many hookers.
Oh, when you're walking down the street and they're literally grabbing you and just trying to pull you right into the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, it's glorious.
I don't know, man. I found though that like even if you're not patroning for those reasons, whorehouses are the best place to fucking drink at because they're trying to get you drunk, spend more money on the girls. So like a beer's like a fucking quarter. So if your buddies are in there getting fucking hand jobs in the back because they spent all their money on fucking cigarettes and can't fucking afford anything else, is like, yeah, some girl comes up, talks to you, for, hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck you're saying. Give me that.
Yep, exactly. Actually, that was pretty much Israel for me. There was one bar that we went to in a lot Israel.
Yeah.
And we just got so lucky to the point where it was so packed. They had this shot called Hell. I don't remember what was in it. I just remember that there was absinthe in it, and they lit it on fire. And lit it on fire, did a little fire tornado going into the shot. They take the shot, put it down in the bar. You take the shot, then they hold the glass and hold it to your nose so that you inhale the fumes, and it fucks you up like that.
Nice.
And I just remember walking around, I'm like, hey, guys. And I just remember buying this shot for all my buddies. And they didn't charge me for any of them.
Nice. Fucking that's the way to do it. Now, I will say that, like, I don't know, like, I've had absinthe just, to say I can, because, I'll eat or drink just about anything once just to know whether or not, because, fucking exotic food's fucking cool. I couldn't get down on board with fucking absinthe. I mean, like, I will drink Jägermeister from the fucking bottle hot, but absinthe is just, it's got not enough of the NyQuil flavor, but like not enough of the other thing, whatever the fuck else is in it, like the lemonade part of it.
Yeah, and I think you're traditionally supposed to like drip it over sugar.
Yeah, and then like spoon on top of it, and like burn it like you're doing heroin or some shit.
Yeah, there's like a complete science to it. Did not do that whatsoever, and it was mixed with so many other things. I had no idea what I was tasting at that point.
Yeah,
good times.
This were good times. Fucking, sometimes it's like, man, fucking, like I pull the, like they'll do that cheesy thing in movies or something. It's like, to be young, they trip their fucking trip and they fucking smoke their cigarette and they look at the fucking Eiffel Tower or whatever. But then, like, sometimes I'm like, well, like if you go back far enough, like literally every religion has like reincarnation, and that's one of them's probably right. I'll get there again. Fuck it.
No, I know what you mean.
Not to get all esoteric on you or anything already.
I haven't had that much whiskey already. I've been pre-gaming a little bit before this with the fiance. We were watching pigs get castrated. That was fun.
What?
Yeah. She's into all these animal hospital, animal ER, animal all these animal shows. Yeah. Usually they do not censor anything, especially when it comes to a lot of the surgeries and everything. So within the last 15 minutes, I just discovered how big the balls are on a fully grown pig.
Well, I mean, about the size of a football, right?
Yeah. And that's exactly how they described it too. And they popped that thing right out. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Now, do they save those and eat them? Because I know people eat, they do that with cows.
Yeah, with the Rocky Mountain oysters, is what they're called. With those ones, no. This particular show is up in Alaska, and what they were saying is that this pig had a genetic issue that he was doing for the pigs that he was bringing into his piglets. So I'm like, all right, he's no more use. We're going to sell him for some meat, but apparently, if they're not castrated, the meat tastes really bad.
Really?
Yeah, I did not know that.
Do you think that's because of the testosterone in it?
Probably. And I hear that with a lot of the hog issues that they have down in Texas.
Well, I mean, pigs are fucking weird, though. Like, I was reading a thing, and then I was like, that's bullshit, and went and Googled it some more, and, like, apparently everybody fucking agrees this is real. But, like, if you take, like, a regular, like, farm pig, right, and, like, let it loose into the wild, that same pig will turn into a fucking, like, boar with, like, tusks and the wire fur and everything. And then, like, I tried to get down the rabbit hole on why. Couldn't fucking figure it out.
Pigs are weird animals.
Yeah. Do you know what I want to eat, though? Is one of those, like, Fukushima fucking, like, radioactive ones. Like, turn me into Pigman or some shit.
Man, Bear, Pig from South Park.
I'm the pig man.
Did you ever do the live tissue course in the Marines by any chance?
I did not. I have a couple buddies who did. Actually, one of my buddies is watching this now in the comments over there. He prides himself on keeping the pig alive the entire fucking day.
Nice. Same here.
And then he cried when, it was like game over and he had to go home and the pig actually had to die.
Yeah. Apparently they have you sign NDAs now.
Really?
Yeah, because apparently on Pendleton, one guy gave away where they're doing all the training and everything, and PETA got involved.
Yeah, I do know they have to move it around because we'll figure it out and then, like plaster the place, which is kind of weird because, like, why don't you just do that on fucking base?
Yeah, well, maybe. I'm not sure. I just go
to a fucking training area, like go to range 400. Like, ain't nobody gonna fucking bother you there.
I will say where I did mine, it was very secluded. There was nobody around. I'm like, all right, I can understand why we chose this location. I just remember before we left, they're like, all right, you're not taking your cell phones, nothing. Anything that could give away our position, you're not taking it. I'm like, all right, cool.
Fair enough. Leave it in the car. Or
yep,
your locker or fucking your barracks room on the way out. Pack a lunch.
Yep. My favorite was, and they always described them as patients. Like, we're taking care of the patients.
Well, I mean, that's probably the fucking like God, get your brain used to it, because you know if you're doing that and you're hearing patient, that's one thing. If you're hearing pig, then like somebody says patient, you're like, this isn't a pig.
Yeah, and I just remember one guy. He's like, once everything's said and done, do we get to eat them? And they're like, no, they're so doped up on so many drugs that no. They're going to be put to use, but no, we're not going to eat them. They're going to be on too many drugs. And the guy just paused for a second. He's just like, so do we get to eat them?
Can I just take the leg home?
Yeah, exactly.
The leg's still attached. How about we cut the leg off first? And then we'll put that in my rucksack. And then I'll put a tourniquet on it. We'll go from there.
Yeah. And fuck, I forgot I was going with that.
Eating the drug pigs. Like, can we pump them full of LSD and still get fucking the munchies afterwards? Like, how's this work? I'm not afraid of the biology.
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, I can pop on a piss test at least once, right?
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Like, I've heard rumors that they, like, you know how you put it in the box with a bunch of other people? I heard what they do is they take that whole box and put it together and test that once, and if anybody pops, they get everybody on that list and make them do it again. But like, I don't really trust that information. I've also heard that if you take just a cap full of bleach and put it into a gallon of water and drink that, it'll clear your system, and I don't think that works either.
No, I have not heard that. I did work at a supplement company for a little while, and we did have to help guys clear piss tests. I mean, this is after the military. Guys that were like on parole is like, hey, listen, I need something to help clear my system. And we did sell some stuff, but the guy told me as they were walking out the door, they're like, I'm not too sure if he's going to pass that or not.
Fair enough. So, what about the thing where it's like changing your oil? So you take a catheter, shove it up your bladder, fill yourself up with just like clean water and piss that out.
I did have one buddy who he had one guy pee in a condom, and then as he was taking the test, just cut that open. Nobody asked any questions, and nothing came up. So
when I was in Okie, fucking one of the gunnies there used to be one of my sergeants. And since he was also the fucking Sacco,
yeah,
he was like, "Oh, hey, dude, what's up? I haven't seen you forever. Hey, so I need volunteers from around the unit. Since I know you want to see everybody's dicks?" I was like, "Can I say no?" And he's like, "Nope." I was like, "All right." So, dude, I had some fucking stories from that, like, because I remember we're at the fucking MU headquarters, and fucking, I'm doing the fucking like PP watcher fucking duty, and I'm in the side because I don't care, and this fucking master sergeant, like big, huge, jacked motherfuckers, like, you're supposed to be, blah, 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 doing this, whatever, like, while this is going in there. And he was coming in there, like, not for the test. I was like, yes, master sergeant. So, I move over and, watch the dude. And then, like, an hour later, that master sergeant comes in with a cup over his shoulder. So, like, I put my dick in half and put my head under his fucking arm. And I'm like, I gotta make sure there's a stream leaving the body, master sergeant. He's the dirtiest fucking, he's like, get out away from me. Like, I can't. I have to watch a clear stream come from your organ into the toilet. I get a talking to by my master sergeant later, but he's like, I mean, he was mad, but like, you're doing what you're supposed to do, so you're technically in the right. Just don't do that again.
I only did that once, and this was post deployment, and we just got a brand new battalion sergeant major and battalion CO. And I'm sitting there, my first time ever being a pecker checker. And I'm sitting there, battalion CO, he random list comes in. I'm like, all right, CO's in. And then I'm looking, and then I'm looking down the line. I'm like, all right, who's going to be walking in with the CEO? And I'm looking over and I'm just like, oh crap, it's going to be me. All right, this is going to be good. So I'm like, all right, sir, you ready to go? He's like, all right, let's go. And walk into the head, walk in. As we walk in, our at CLB 15, our showers are in the bathroom. All of a sudden, this is the middle of the day, our battalion sergeant major hops out of the shower. Him and I make eye contact as the CEO goes to the urinal. I just make just straight eye contact with the battalion sergeant major. And we just have a stare down. He doesn't say anything. I don't say anything. And I'm just staring at him for like probably like a full minute. And he's just like, full minute. He's just like, all right, look somewhere else. I'm like, and I quite literally just like looked up. I didn't say anything. Just looked up, looked behind me. And he's just like, shouldn't you be looking at him? I'm like, yes, Sergeant Major. And I just went off on my business.
Fucking, so when I was in 2-9, fucking, I had a buddy who was, I think he was Intel. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember what the fuck he was, but he did have a really hot fucking gunnery sergeant, like, short little Latina chick. Yep. And one day I'm fucking taking a shower and I hear something going on in my room. I'm like, what the fuck? So I come out, I'm like ass naked, like ready to fucking fight somebody, right? And my buddy's in the room and he's like looking at me, I'm looking at him, and then at the time I was a little bit less flabby, fucking, good looking, fucking spend a couple hours a day at the gym. But he's like, oh, I forgot my phone in your room. I was like, how'd you get in here? And I look over and then like his gunnery sergeant's like standing at the door. I'm like, hey, Gunny, you just gonna let random people come into my fucking room? And she's like looking at me like, I'm not sure if this is an EO complaint, but if I report this, I'm gonna get burnt for letting Marines into other people's rooms. Like, I'm like, we're not gonna talk to anybody about this, right? And then she's like, yeah, nope. Close the fucking door. And I'm like, George, get the fuck out of here.
That's fucking hilarious. That's like the one time you can get away with it because that is your room. So
yeah, well, I mean, we also had a fucking thing with that not too long ago, because I think like a month prior to that, the OD let somebody into a room that they weren't supposed to, and then like somebody got raped. So
oh god, like
the command was like really rationing down at that at the time. So stay out of my fucking room.
Yeah, that's your space.
And you don't often in the military fucking get a choice or a chance to say, get the fuck out of my room to fucking people, So
yeah, no matter the rank. Yeah. I remember one time, and this is when I was a fresh boot to the fleet. I just remember my first company guns. He's doing room inspections. I just remember him walking into my room. Room was spotless, but he yelled at me for one thing, and that was because I had zero food in my fridge. And his issue was, he's like, hey, listen, when you come back home, or when you come back home here to the barracks, this is your home. You need to come back here and chill. You need to relax. So you need to go down to the PX, get you some food, and come here and relax after work. I'm just like, okay.
Fucking one of the things I used to do is well, did you ever play Command and Conquer?
No.
Do you know what it is?
I think so, yeah.
It's a game where you like build a base, then like build infantrymen and like tanks and aircraft, and you go fight somebody else, and it's kind of like point and click, and you tell them.
Oh, like a real-time strategy game?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But anyway, fucking one of the things I used to do was like Thursday night, I'd fucking go get a 6-pack, put up my fucking fridge, and then got off work on Friday. I would go straight to the Del Taco off base, and I would get like the party pack of like 12 fucking burritos, and then like 3 things of the jalapeno hot poppers, and I wouldn't get a drink. And then, I lived in the middle of Pendleton, so, it took me half an hour to get to home. So what I would do is immediately, before I even got back on base, just, like drink the fucking jalapeno poppers, like straight out of the fucking thing. My throat was all fucked up. And then by the time I got back to the barracks and crack open a beer, weekend fucking starts. And then I just hang out in my fucking room all weekend, eat burritos, and play Command and Conquer. Now, this had to stop at some point. And what stopped it was I was talking to one of my buddies' his fucking sisters, and I had this dream that I was making out with her on the couch, and I went to go pull her pants off, and she did like, nah, no thing girls do. And my immediate thought was, I have to build more tanks. So I started building more tanks to get into this chick's pants. I woke up and deleted the fucking game. I am never fucking playing
it. That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, for some reason, especially with my MOS, I don't know why everybody's was into League of Legends. I don't know why.
When did that come out? Because like I want to say it's recent, but at the same time, I've been seeing ads for years saying that it's the greatest whatever. So it had to have been at least 2010.
I am looking it up now.
Consulting the wizard
of Google. October 27th, 2009.
Oh, that's close.
Yeah.
Like I know that like what World of Warcraft's been around since fucking forever before that.
Since essentially computers were invented, essentially.
Yeah. Before that, people were playing fucking Warhammer and
RuneScape
and shit. Oh yeah, dude, RuneScape. Fucking, I've never played RuneScape, but I don't ask people about it because then it's like, oh great, I get to hear an hour of bullshit I didn't want to fucking hear.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That guy that I worked with at the supplement shop, God, whiskey's already getting to me. This roided out motherfucker would just like sit in his room, just high as a motherfucker, just playing RuneScape all day. And I'm just like staring at him. And I'm just like, dude, I don't get this at all. Like my game growing up was actually Age of Empires.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one I played, I think it was like a Windows 95 or some shit. It was the one I really got into, and if I remember right, it's called Black and White, but you start off as, you play as God, and you start off with like making the universe, and then like you have to make like a solar system and like a planet, and then you have to make an ocean to like make amoebas, to make plants, to make fish, to make a fish that gets out of the fucking water that turns into like a monkey at fucking some point, and the monkeys evolve into humans and Neanderthals, and you have to have like that war, and then like the humans grow up, and you have to have like that's when you get into the civilization shit, and then like I think it went all the way to like, you know, being able to nuke each other out of existence, but it was just like, it's kind of weird. You start off with the whole like God created nothing phase instead of like the Romans, maybe.
Like someone like Total War.
Yeah.
Yeah, that almost sounds like what was that game? Spore.
Well,
with Spore, essentially you start off as a cell and then you evolve into you evolve into a creature, then you can evolve into a civilization, then you can do go into space and then start nuking people on other planets.
Oh yeah, fucking Tommy said the good God, bad God game. That's a good one. That reminded me, in that other game, like you could be good God or you could be a bad God. Like you had like karma points, but like they didn't count because you're God. But you could be like if you were more benevolent towards your people, they'd be more like friendly. But if you were just like a violent, angry God, they'd be more warlike. So you had to like start that from like the Stone Age.
Yeah. So kind of like Vikings at that point.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite was hearing how Christian missionaries would convince the Vikings that the Christian God was a warrior God, and that's how they were able to convince some of them to convert to Christianity.
So that's not actually fucking wrong. I've been trying to take a deeper dive into this just because like I'm interested in like religion, mythology, like old shit we don't know about all of it anymore, and try to like piece the fucking puzzle together. But apparently Judaism or Hebrew or whatever you want to call it, like the old Canaanite religion had like this full fucking pantheon, and then like one day, like because like how like you have like like a religion with a bunch of fucking different gods. If you're a certain tribe or city or whatever, you acknowledge all of them, but all your main worship goes to one.
Yep.
Apparently, the war god Yahweh was like, all right, so these other gods go down, and you, my chosen people, are gonna fucking do it.
Yep.
So like Yahweh was originally a war god and a very angry dude, and it like while it doesn't say in the Bible that or the Torah or the Quran that that God of Abraham is a war god. He's a very angry, jealous dude and bucks up to it. And when you cross him, like you stop being a person. So it's like, no, that makes sense. Like, oh, you smote how many people? You flooded the world to kill everybody because you didn't like him. That's a war god thing. Yeah.
Just hit the restart button and then, let's start over. You got another chance. Don't fuck it up. And, oh, wow. You look at that. You fucked it up.
Yeah. Although I've heard some other fucking shit too. Like, I don't know how much, if this is relevant at all, or this is interesting. Feel free to change the fucking subject. But in Genesis, before the flood, there's a throwaway line. So the Nephilim were in the world in that days, and it's like, what the fuck is that? So you take the deep dive into it, and it turns out the Nephilim were a breed of giants, that were like half like fallen angel and like half fucking human, and the reason that God had to destroy them all was to prevent like satanic blood infecting Christ when he eventually came. And like on one hand I'm like, wow, this is some pretty deep shit. On the other hand I'm like, dude, how much fucking cannabis was in fucking like the Middle East when they wrote this shit?
I remember listening to Joe Rogan not too long. Well, I think it was a few months ago now. And they were talking about how in a lot of the pots that they were able to pull from, I think it was the Middle East, ancient Greece, and I think it was the Roman Empire and also Spain. And they were talking about like how a lot of the wine that they would use, especially during religious services, would have extra, it would be spiked wine. Essentially, it would have stuff like, and they actually had cannabis in the wine.
Well, do you know what's another weird one though? Is like, you know how like the other continents, like, Europe, Africa, fucking Asia, and then had no real contact with North America and South America before Columbus or the Vikings. Fucking, they've done autopsies on fucking mummies from Egypt that had cocaine in them, and cocaine only grows in South America until relatively fucking recently. And it's like, well, how did that get there? And everyone's like, well, maybe the plant used to grow here and died out. And it's like, have you found any of the plants? No? I'm not saying, it was aliens or Atlantis, or maybe somebody traveled over there and then, when the late Bronze Age collapse happened and everything fell to shit and we lost records for fucking 500 years in the, 2000-ish range BC, that we just kind of lost track of shit. But I mean, like, while I think like the ancient aliens thing is fucking like great, I don't know if I believe most of it. I just find it fucking entertaining. But I do think that we don't give ancient peoples their due credit as far as what they were capable of.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I grew up primarily in a Christian family, so I'm also a huge history buff too, and I like looking into a lot of the Old Testament stuff and stuff like that, and kind of entertaining the idea that, especially if the wild chance that at a certain point, if there's some type of reset as far as like the Ice Age, Great Flood, whatever, there's a chance that whoever was before that knew a lot more than what we know today. And especially the point where when the hieroglyphics in Egypt, when they're talking about, hey, they might have discovered like some type of electricity or something like that.
Yeah fucking no, there's a lot of that shit. Like in Plato's work, he's got this thing where he's writing about talking to this Egyptian priest, and this Egyptian priest is talking about how Greece saved the Mediterranean world from the Atlanteans when they invaded, and then the Atlanteans got fucking destroyed, and that's where that whole fucking story comes from. And he's like, but we kept the records, and that's why we know about it, and you didn't, because when Atlantis went down, they took out Greece with them.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, no, and it was weird because like I was reading that in a fucking what is it? What class was I in? I think it was ancient philosophy, and I was like, wait, can we talk about this? And then my teacher was like, if you take my whatever other class, and I was like, fine, I'll take your whatever other fucking class. And he's like, no, seriously, I'm not saying there's a brush off. Like we'll talk about this for like a week, and I was like, okay, all right, fine,
It's almost like going onto a website and it's just like, hey, if you want to learn more, you got to pay a little bit extra.
Yeah, no, but this other class I took, it was called something like the history of the supernatural, and like, we looked at Bigfoot, aliens, Hollow Earth, ancient civilization, all that shit, and like each module had two sides to it. Like the first half of it, we looked at it as it was complete bullshit, and the other half of it, we looked at it like, no, this fucking happened. And then like there was no like, hey, one way or the other on it. It was like, just here's the fucking information, let's look over it.
Yep.
Which is one of the reasons that like I don't not believe in Bigfoot or the fucking pyramid was a fucking power conductor fucking thing.
Yeah, I heard about that. What was it? And it's especially with the material that they used to build the pyramids is emitting some type of electromagnetic field.
Yeah. So like its volume is like I forget what it is, but the Earth does actually have a frequency that it fucking vibrates at. And whatever percent that is the volume of the pyramid originally versus the fucking like volume of the entire fucking Earth. Plus, it's like in the middle of the Earth's fucking land masses, and then they've built miniature ones that they got to work. And it's like, well, if you built a miniature one that works, shouldn't the big one work? No. This is totally just somebody's tomb because he was trying to say that he had a big dong and needed to be buried in the right way. And it's like, then why wasn't there a body inside, and why is it all made out of fucking like quartz, which you can conduct fucking electricity with?
Yeah, it honestly does not make any sense.
Nah. One of the other things that fucking I kind of got down on the rabbit hole on that one too, though, is like everybody in all the fucking what is it like Egyptologists and shit. They're like, well, they did this in the Bronze Age. They didn't have steel or anything, and it's like, well, like they did find one piece of like steel around there from that time, and it was in horrible condition because steel rusts and goes away even if you leave it in the desert. Where bronze, doesn't quite as much.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
But you gotta keep up the narrative, I guess. It's the Illuminati, goddammit.
Hey, we don't fully understand this, so we're going to keep you dumb while we figure this out.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking, which is one of the other fucking interesting fucking things about all the shit they're finding in fucking like Turkey. Like everyone likes to bring up like Go Ghibli Tempe or whatever the fuck it's called, but it's like that's just like one of them. They found a lot of fucking shit up there that like the timeline's not adding up on. But one of the other interesting things about that is I think it was like the 80s or the 90s they found this out. Like the Hittites from the Bible. Like nobody knew who the fuck these people were up until like the 80s or the fucking 90s. Then all of a sudden they found like 6 or 7 different fucking places, and they're like, okay, so when Egypt talked about getting invaded and getting their ass kicked in like 3000 BC, it was from these guys all the way up in Turkey. They also invented beer, started doing that thing where like you take wheat and you put it in a line and you wait 6 months and then eat it. And then it's like fucking, none of that's like was official till relatively fucking recently because, it didn't fucking like line up and we didn't have the fucking like archaeological fucking evidence. And like, it's just now slowly getting into the thing where it's like, hey, maybe Egypt wasn't like the first like regional superpower.
Yeah. And I think another thing that I learned just recently, especially in that area of Turkey, where they found sculptures that were actually sculpted in full 3D, whereas for that same time period, most of the thing is that you see is more like what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a carving.
Like a
relief.
Yeah, a relief. That's the word I was looking for. Where everything's in a relief, everything's two-dimensional, and then all of a sudden you have this one thing that dates back around the same time, and it's in 3-dimensional, and just kind of like implying that, hey, these people actually knew something when it came to like actually sculpting and different techniques that were way beyond what we thought of this time.
But since no one else in that region did it for 1,000 years, that obviously isn't what happened. Fuckers. I don't know if you can hear the dogs. Somebody's having a fucking bitch fit right now.
No, all I hear is like a ringing. That's all it is.
Okay. But yeah, no, fucking like old fucking shit. Fucking, it's all different. Like there's a whole other fucking thing where like so like the Mediterranean used to be fucking like just like grassland or fucking whatever, and then like Ireland used to be part of mainland Europe up until what 10, 15, 20,000 ish years ago when the ice cap, well, all the glaciers melted, brought up the fucking sea level fucking 50 feet. But the mainstream science on that is like when the glaciers melted and flooded everything, that took place over the course of 500, 1,000 years. But there's more and more evidence coming out that was like, nah, dude, that might have been in an afternoon because like, glacier sitting up there, sun melts it, but it makes like this bowl in the top of it. Like you ever seen, like watched a piece of ice melt? If it's flat on top, it'll melt a bowl before it fucking comes out. But if you get all that water and then like one little piece on the side cracks, floods the rest of the thing, like That's a little bit different than getting your fucking table wet. That's like an entire continent's worth of fucking ice just released into the fucking wild all at once.
Yeah.
And that's where like the flood myths come from. And like every religion has a fucking flood myth. And it's not because, you know, the Bible's right.
Yeah.
Like that shit happened.
Yeah. And yeah, to bring up your point, I think I remember hearing Pacific Islanders even had their own mythology about this great flood that happened. And then this band, again, talking about like some type of arc, saying that they had this man that just traveled the seas until everything settled down, and then everybody spread out from there. I'm just like, okay, so we kind of have a guess that something might have happened.
Yeah, no, and that's like and that has to be what fucking Atlantis was, you know, like either some society that lived in the Med or what is it, the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa. Like there's small islands now, but you know they're thinking, hey, if the sea level's down here, that'd have been the size of New Zealand. Is gone overnight. Yeah, no, that would give rise to fucking legends about that shit. And people are always like, well, Atlantis, you know, super advanced, you know, society. You know, they went to the moon, right? It's like, well, I mean, super advanced just meant they probably had iron and knew how to sail. You know, not.
And at least a good understanding about how like basic chemistry, biology, stuff like stuff that we know today.
Yeah, like not up to us, but like I have absolutely no problem believing that there was another society before us that got up to at least the gunpowder age, or maybe right before, you know.
No, definitely, and like I said, especially in ancient Egypt, we kind of have the idea that like you were saying, that probably might have happened, and then there's just something that just wiped it out.
Yeah. And like there's been other things like that have happened, that are documented, that happened, that, you know, we can kind of use as, I don't want to say proof that the other thing happens, but like proof that it's not unplausible. Like I don't know if you've heard of the late Bronze Age collapse, but for the people at home that don't know about it, there's this thing that happened in the late Bronze Age between Italy and actually pretty much the entire Med except for fucking Egypt, where something happened, we're not sure what, and then history just goes black for like 70 years. Like we have no idea what the fuck happened, but the people that were there before weren't there fucking afterwards, and then pretty much everyone else got bumped back to like early fucking Bronze Age. Like when they came out of it, like using completely different fucking languages, fucking completely different art, completely different fucking weapons.
Yeah,
like,
which
all of it.
Which makes sense because especially if you have a lot of people getting wiped out, you're getting a lot of that knowledge wiped out too. And wherever you got left, that's where your starting point is again.
Yeah, like the people before that, like the Mycenaean Greeks, they were on like Crete, like the islands around Greece, but like not on it.
Yeah.
Actually there was a little bit on it, but like not a whole much besides just like a couple fucking temples. They can't figure out who it was, but they were the ancient Greeks. Yeah. Way back in the day.
No, it's very interesting.
Yeah. Like I would love to have like a time machine, maybe not a time machine, but like maybe like a time like VR fucking thing where it's like I'm not interacting with anything, I'm not stepping on any butterflies. We're not gonna have Mario the Hedgehog out of this. I just want to watch.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Especially when every single time that any type of like TV show or movie has talked about time travel, it's just like, all right, we got to be very delicate, because if we do anything to disrupt some space-time continuum, it's going to affect our future, and everything is going to branch off into who knows what.
Yeah, no, that's to an extreme level. Because think about it, like you step somewhere that wasn't stepped on, an ant gets killed because you stepped on a fucking thing. A bird doesn't eat that ant. Instead, that bird goes somewhere else. That bird goes somewhere else, gets eaten by a snake. That snake breeds when it wouldn't have had before. There's more snakes in a fucking region. Somebody swerves to like get out of the fucking way of one, or someone gets bit by one and dies that shouldn't have fucking died, and then the entire bloodline's fucking altered, and that could have been fucking detrimental if that was even fucking 70 fucking years ago.
Yeah, think about it like this. Instead of the Great Emu War, it could have been a much more dangerous predator that could have just wiped out all of Australia.
Well, I mean, like there's there's a very easy butterfly effect type thing where instead of fucking ostriches and emos and fucking not emos.
Emus.
Instead of emus and ostriches in fucking Australia, they sell fucking velociraptors or some shit, you know?
Oh God. I mean, I would not be surprised to find one to this day in Australia. I think I was just
Australia, but definitely fucking the jungles of Africa. Like fucking would not surprise me at the fuck all.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes to like why I don't not believe in Bigfoot, because before we had Bigfoot, we had other there's ape man creatures from all around the world, right?
Yeah.
And as far back as ancient fucking Greece, they talk about going south of Egypt down into Nubia, down into the fucking jungles and shit. There's this like hairy ape man out there fucking terrorizing people. And everyone that came back and said this, they're like, yeah, you fucking, you've been smoking a little bit too much of the fucking like Persian stuff. You know what I mean? And then in like 1910, we discovered gorillas. Like it's that gorillas are that fucking recent in our fucking scientific fucking journals.
Huh.
Like, and knowing that, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if like Bigfoot's running around Ohio, but I can definitely see him in fucking Alaska or Canada.
Probably. I mean, what they have a bunch of sightings, and they just had a documentary on this up in Northern California. I think a lot of people used to plant marijuana fields up there. Yep.
Yeah, I saw that, but like tell people at home and haven't seen it. I don't remember what it was called though. I think it was called like Finding Bigfoot or something.
It was either called Finding Bigfoot or it's just called Sasquatch.
That might have been it. But it's on Hulu, I think.
Netflix. I'm pretty sure.
Anyway, tell us about it. Tell us about it, because this show is fucking insane. Like so many twists and turns.
Yeah, the entire first episode, they start talking about the possibility of Bigfoot happening, how they have all these sightings and everything, and talking about how this one guy is helping out on a marijuana farm because he's actually a journalist that just implants himself into these different drug cartels, just trying to get like a good story, then pulls himself out.
Shit, like Hunter H. level. Like, why aren't you more famous? Why am I now just hearing about you? Mm-hmm. Also, like, I would like to point out this dude looks like Evan Stone. If anybody's seen Pirates, 90s porn.
Yeah. I can see that. But he starts off the entire series about talking about these guys coming in and yelling that these two guys just got killed by this giant monster that just terrorized this entire field. I'm pretty sure he just like left the field alone, but just like eviscerated these two guys. These guys got ripped limb from limb. And then it goes through this entire episode of all these guys who have seen sightings of Sasquatch, the Bigfoot that's been roaming around these areas. And there's a big rumor in this area, especially with all these marijuana farmers. Yeah. And I think a lot of it's just dealing with trying to scare off local people, trying to keep the workers in line, making sure everybody tries keeping focused.
Well, that's traditional Bigfoot territory anyway.
Mm-hmm. And then they go into the original. What was it? It was the original video where these two guys were out on horseback and they caught video of this two-legged creature just like walking around in the woods. And it's just very candid. He was on the back of a horse, hopped off, and got this footage that we know to this day as the original like Bigfoot sighting.
Yeah.
And then it goes later on to the series. I don't know. Should I ruin it?
Well, I mean, they're already watching it, and most people, when you tell somebody about something, they don't fucking watch it.
Okay, so basically, what had happened was it was just a really tall guy in a gorilla suit, and towards the end of this documentary, it was just talking about these marijuana. The whole purpose was really talking about the marijuana fields and how this huge drug operations with a lot of illegal immigrants coming into Northern California, working in the fields so they can send money back home, and how these landowners or these farmers would just scare these workers into compliance and making sure that these guys just don't leave where they're harvesting all this marijuana.
Yeah, but also the other thing with that though is like they would make sure that when they did it, like the survivors, quote unquote, were all like meth heads.
Mm-hmm.
They're like tweaked out, running around saying, "Oh my god, Bigfoot killed everybody!" So like people in town be like, "Yeah, okay, sure, Bigfoot killed those dudes," but all the workers there would be like, what the
Mhm.
fuck?
Yeah. And yeah, because all these locals knew like a lot of these local guys that would grow up there, and they're just like, yeah, most of these guys are known to have silenced a few competitors, so don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, dude. That was some like insane fucking like X-File shit, except for instead of it being, you know, aliens or a demon or something, it was just some dude in a suit. Maybe Scooby-Doo might be the real word. Like an R-rated Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for you don't get to see Velma's tits, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, you get the hope, and then you just get blue balls at the end.
Yeah.
What can you do?
I would be down to watch a fucking movie where like Bigfoot just went around fucking murdering people, like a B horror movie, you know? Like I had such high hopes for what was it, the man who killed Hitler and then Bigfoot, and then that movie just sucked.
I don't even think I've heard of that.
So Sam Elliott, right?
Already
fucking like high hopes. Like turns out he killed Hitler in like 1941, and they just replaced Hitler with one of his fucking like body doubles to keep the fucking war going.
Yeah.
And in the fucking early 2000s or 90s or whatever, they pull this guy out of fucking retirement to go kill Bigfoot because he's terrorizing fucking Washington or Oregon or some shit, and then he goes and kills Bigfoot. But like it was a bad movie. Like it sucked pretty bad. Like and not even in a good way, because like, you know how some movies like you watch them, you're like, this is terrible, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? Like this is just like, dude, like can we turn this off?
We me and my fiance, we just got recommended this one series, and it's on CBS. We're watching on Netflix right now, called Evil.
I don't think I've heard it.
It's one of those things, like we heard it from our friends, and we heard amazing things from it, but it's one of those situations where, kind of like how you're saying, is just like, all right, the premise sounds really good. It's about this psychiatrist who gets called in for different court hearings. She testifies as an expert witness to certain court cases, and then she gets pulled into all this demonic shit that's going around, where she'll get like pulled into an exorcism, and then she will like kind of give her expert opinion about what's going on, and they'll kind of disprove if this is actually a demonic possession or just this person is having a psychotic meltdown.
That's kind of disappointing to hear. That sucks, because that sounds like a fucking badass premise.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely amazing, and I just think that is just this big networking a hold of it, and just extremely lazy writing, because I hear that premise, I'm like, oh, that sounds really good, and this is something that I would normally watch on a regular basis, and it is some of the most, I will say, is the laziest writing that I've probably seen in a long time.
Oh, that sucks.
And they try to politicize a lot of things. There's the character motivation makes no sense, and I'm just like, I had such high hopes. This, like, it had like a great first episode, and then after that, just downhill.
Oh, that sucks. No, fucking one that I get recommended that had the exact opposite thing, where it was like, you know, this is probably gonna suck, but you know, fuck it, I'll watch because I ain't got nothing else to watch, was The Expanse. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've seen a few episodes of that.
And for I guess you, because you've only seen a few episodes, and then the people at home listening, fucking, it starts off a little slow. And you know, it's 500 years in the future, and there's a Cold War going on between Earth and Mars. And it starts getting good about halfway through the first season, and then it's kind of, it only starts really getting gripping like halfway through the fucking second season-ish. But what happened with it was, originally it was on fucking Sci-Fi, and then it got canceled because nobody fucking liked it, except for Jeff Bezos, who was like, I'm gonna pay for this to fucking get made. I don't give a fuck what happens. So he buys it from fucking Sci-Fi, funds it his goddamn self. Like, the production like was already good, but it went through the fucking roof. The writing got fucking better, and like, they're based on novels, but like, you can base something on a book and still fuck it up. But like, production got better, the writing got better, fucking everything just got more fucking intense, and it was like, Listen, you can hate fucking Jeff Bezos all you want, but like I'm at least gonna like him for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Well, that and like he gave like $10 billion to like help fight climate change or some shit, but like fuck the planet. I'm watching TV. You know what I mean?
Yep. One thing I'm excited about, speaking of Amazon, is the new Lord of the Rings series that apparently they won the bidding war against Netflix on.
Good.
Yeah, and what it's supposed to be spent in like so Lord of the Rings. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the third age of Middle Earth, and I think this takes place in the second age. And apparently Sauron's supposed to be this really sexy elf-looking dude, and I'm really excited for it.
Sauron was whatever their version of an angel was, though, right?
Yeah,
yeah. I don't think he was the same class as like the wizards, but that's kind of like differentiating like seraphim and cherub or some shit, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think I'm trying to think. He is the equivalent of a demigod, I would say.
Okay.
So kind of like a Titan. I know he had his own master, and I also remember he was in control of this giant spider thing that I think was Shelob's mother, if I'm not mistaken. And apparently, this thing was like would eat I don't know what, like souls or whatever, and they would grow to the size of the city. Which my arachnophobia that comes on and off every now and then, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to see that in a full production.
You didn't like the movie Big Ass Spider?
Mm-hmm. Like I remember seeing the Return of the King for the first time, seeing Shelob, and I'm just like, oh god, this looks too good. I'm kind of uncomfortable with this.
Somebody give him a can of Raid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, fucking. I was I don't want to say impressed, but definitely pleased with the CGI they used in those movies. Like I would have personally preferred practical effects, and I think that we're gonna watch those again in fucking 10 or 20 years and be like, oh, that's fucking garbage. But like fucking even now though, it's still fucking
it holds up.
It still
100%.
holds up. And then like the only thing older than that would have been like Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park used a lot more practical effects than people think it did.
Mm-hmm.
Like Terminator 2, you know?
Yeah. Terminator 2 was a huge breakthrough when it came to a lot of CGI.
Yeah.
This is one thing that I'm really trying to get into myself. I'm looking as we're talking, I'm looking at my bottom bar, and I have like 6 different Adobe products like lined up in my taskbar. I have like stuff for like different CGI, 3D modeling software and stuff like that. So this is like one of the things that I'm huge nerding out about. And Lord of the Rings especially, they did so many things. I think it was specifically Gollum that helped inspire a lot of different companies to do what they did. I think especially with, I might be fucking up the timeline. Dobby from Harry Potter.
Yeah, and like Gollum would have been real easy to just put a meth head and some fucking makeup and be like, go, you know?
Yeah.
But he did a really good job with his fucking like eeriness. Like I don't think it was creepy, but it was eerie.
Yeah. And I've heard a lot of visual effects artists talk about this uncanny valley where you get to the point where like stuff is fake, where we see it and like it doesn't really trouble us. It's like, all right, this is CGI, this is fake, whatever. And then there's this valley between very good CGI and completely realistic to where we look at it and we're just like, this is making me very uncomfortable and I don't know why. And it's just from us looking at other human beings realizing like, all right, this is real. And then there's just like this red flag signaling in our brain like, all right, this is not real. I don't know how this is not real, but there's just like something that's making me very uncomfortable.
Well, I think a lot of the problem with that though is that our TVs got too good. Like you can watch shit in 4K now. Like you remember like back in the fucking day. Like if you watched Lord of the Rings on VHS on a fucking 90s television, I don't know if you'd be able to tell any of that wasn't real. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you watch it on something that's like fucking like Lake fucking Placid. You'd be like, well, I mean, like, I can tell the actor isn't looking directly at where, you know, the guy is, and
yeah,
the hair's moving a little bit too weird, and the lighting's just a little bit off.
But even then, I would even argue that Lord of the Rings still holds up, especially with, I would say the biggest accomplishment with that would be the Balrog fight with Gandalf, because they used a lot of practically filmed elements and kind of just kind of like sculpted it in their software to create this Balrog, where they're using real elements, real practical elements to create this CG character. I'm just like, this still really holds up today, especially when you hear him screaming at them. I'm like, that still looks really good.
Well, it's the same thing with fucking Terminator. Most of the T-1000 scenes were done with Mercury, and they just like kind of like spread it on the ground, and then like, you know, right out of shot, somebody was like either fanning it or like, you know, pushing it with a stick to make it come together, and they only used what they needed to like make the scene work. And like, you can still tell, like when the fucking Liquidator comes out of the fire after the truck crashes, you're like, well, that's obviously CGI, but at the same time, you're like, but he's also a liquid Terminator from the future. How do we know that's not what he looks like?
Yep. And I remember the guys that I followed on Corridor Digital, if anybody's paying attention and wants to look at it, they recreated the scene where he goes through the jail cell walls, the bar walls.
Yeah.
And like you see his like face to form and everything. And they, in their own way, with modern technology, try to recreate that scene. And they were talking about, like, as they're creating that scene, they had guys who were programming the different software that they're using. They were programming the software for the exact tasks that they were trying to do. Whereas today, we have all the programs that we have today, and we're just kind of using it for whatever we need. Where back then, it was, we need the specific task done. You need to develop it. Go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, one of the other things with that humorous fucking story, I think anyway, like, my dad's not a big my dad's not a big movie guy. Like, he'll watch movies, but like, he's, I don't know, kind of fucking weird with this. So like, fucking like, he'll watch a movie like once or twice, and that's fucking it, except for Star Trek. And my dad's, I wouldn't say he was a Trekkie, and he'd call you a nerd for even bringing it up. But at the same time, when we were watching the new movies, he'd be like, okay, so originally the NCC 1701 and its fucking propulsion chamber, blah, 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 like technical manual shit. It's like, Dad, why do you know this if fucking whatever? But the first time I saw Terminator 2, you know, I saw it with my dad, you know, I was like fucking like 5 or 6 or some shit. And, you know, the movie had been out forever. We got it from fucking Blockbuster. And, you know, the cop that the Liquidator fucking like pretended to be him in the insane asylum and like, you know, stuck his finger through his eye, the fat dude that he was getting the coffee from. My dad was like, holy shit, I was in the Air Force with that guy. And I was like, what? So yeah, dude, he had a twin brother too. Fucking like that must be what they fucking did. Like, you know, instead of, you know, fucking like splicing it fucking together or like getting another actor that just like pretty much looked like the guy, they just got his fucking twin brother to play the other Terminator.
I mean, that's smart. I mean, if you have that resource, might as well use it. One of the reasons why I like Christopher Nolan is that CGI is kind of like his last resort.
Yeah.
He's going to do everything practically until he's like, all right, I'm going to have to use a little bit of CGI here. But everything's practical, everything's miniatures, everything, especially with Inception, when they're like with the rotating hallway fight scene.
Yeah.
And literally
they put him on an airplane for that, didn't they?
What was that?
They put him on an airplane for that, didn't they?
No, that was an actually rotating stage that they had, that they were rotating while the actors were in it.
Oh, I thought they put him on an airplane and just like twist, like had the airplane do a fucking roll or some shit. I knew it was practical effects. I didn't know it was. They built the whole stage for it.
They built a full stage for that.
Good for them.
I know.
Good for them.
Yeah, and I remember going back to Lord of the Rings, the Battle of Helm's Deep. They, for the Helm's Deep itself, they had 3 different models for it. They had a small one, a medium one, and an extremely large one. And then they had like different sets for like different parts of Helm's Deep. And the part where the wall just explodes.
Yeah.
I think that was just a one take. They're like, all right, we're about to blow up this miniature. We have one shot at this.
Let's put every fucking camera on this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's take the one that looks the best.
Yep, and that's exactly what they did. And I think, like, yeah, it went off, and they had like multiple angles. I'm just like, yeah, you're using every angle that you got of that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, fucking. I wonder if future generations will revere those movies as we did, because like you know how you have like 2.5 different nerdoms on that, because you have the Lord of the Rings book nerds, the Lord of the Rings movie nerds, and there's another one that's like kind of in the middle, but like not like a Venn diagram, you know, of all three.
Yeah.
Of them. And I wonder if like fucking people will look back on that kind of like Casablanca.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like no, that was the greatest movie ever made. Fucking, you can shut your fucking dirty mouth hole if you want to fucking argue me on this, you know?
Yeah, that would be my mother on that one. That was one of her favorite movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, hopefully. I remember there's a lot of old movies, kind of like I make my fiance watch what's the movie? It's a Wonderful Life every single Christmas.
Well, you have to have a Christmas movie. Like, I mean, you have to have
Yeah.
a card and then an actual Christmas movie, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And also, quick question: Die Hard, first one, Christmas movie or no?
Well, it took place on Christmas. The DVD I have is green with snowflakes and Christmas trees on the front of it. The director said it was a Christmas movie. So if the people that made it said it was a Christmas movie, it's a Christmas movie. There you go.
Well, my only struggle is hearing that Bruce Willis doesn't call it a Christmas movie.
Yeah, well, fuck Bruce Willis. Fucking, have you ever heard? Have you heard the fucking way that movie got made though? So there was it was based on a novel, right? And the reason that novel got written in the first place is because the first novel that got written got made into a movie starring Frank Sinatra back in the 60s. And then because that got made, the author wrote a second novel hoping that it would be made into a movie, and it didn't until Frank Sinatra was way too old. And when it happened, their first thought was like, hey, let's make this Commando 2, have it be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, his daughter's grown up and then he has to go do all the Die Hard shit. And Schwarzenegger read the script and said, that's stupid, I'm not doing it. So they reworked it to make it John McClane doing the fucking thing, but still based on that fucking novel. Yep. And they're like, Stallone, do you want to do this? Fucking Arnie said he's interested. Wink, wink. And Stallone's like, let Arnie doing it. That movie's fucking stupid. So they're like, fuck, okay. Well, the character should be a little bit older because it was originally written for Frank Sinatra. Clint Eastwood, do you want to do this? Clint Eastwood's like, no. Van Damme said no. Every action hero said no, that's fucking dumb. And they got Bruce Willis, who before that was on a show called Moonlighting or Moonlighters or something like that, where he was essentially Ross from fucking Friends. You know, he was like the dumb guy from a fucking rom-com. And then they're like, do you want to do this movie, Bruce Willis? He's like, fuck it, why not? And then they made that movie, and then overnight, Bruce Willis stopped being Ross from Friends and started being fucking Bruce Willis.
Yep. And that would probably be a generational gap too, because I remember hearing that and I'm just like, yeah, I've always known Bruce Willis as an action guy. I would not expect him to be in a rom-com.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like our age wouldn't fucking know the difference if you didn't know, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, I'm looking over in the comments. Evan Wilson's talking about the movie Top Gun, how they did it with a real missile,
but they only shot one, and they got like 13 different angles of it.
Yep,
which makes
one thing I'm excited about. I'm excited about the new one that they're making.
Yeah. So like last year with fucking COVID and like movie theaters not being opened, like Top Gun 2 was supposed to come out last year, and they're like, no, we want people to see this in the theater instead of just pushing this to the fucking platforms like so many other people are doing. And this is Tom Cruise is doing it. You say more about Tom Cruise, but like, thank you, Tom Cruise, fucking doing this, because I want to see that in the theater.
Like I'm probably not the biggest Tom Cruise fan, but Top Gun, for me, Top Gun is my favorite Tom Cruise movie. And just watching the trailer and seeing Tom Cruise actually take off from an actual aircraft carrier, I'm just like,
dude, I'm not a chick, and that got me wet.
Yes, that is the best way to put that. I'm like, oh my God, yes, I need to see this. my favorite thing was hearing that there are two people in the world they need to have a custom made insurance plan for these two people specifically, and it's Tom Cruise and Jackie Chan.
What goes into that?
Apparently because they do most of their own stunts, and a lot of their own stunts are so very daring that nobody wants to actually insure them in case anything goes bad.
That's fair enough. That is absolutely fair enough. The two things with Top Gun coming up though is I have a buddy, his name's Matt Callahan. I don't know if you follow him anywhere or not. He did the Galactic Warfighters things where he got like big scale like Star Wars models and just like recreated military photos, but it's all with stormtroopers.
Name is really familiar. I probably follow him on somewhere.
Yeah, dude, like this guy's fucking got millions of fucking followers. Like I guarantee you've seen some of his work, if fucking whatever. But he's got this thing that's coming out in fucking October called Red Air. And it's all about fucking the aggressor squadrons, you know, the guys that go up and be MiGs and, you know, fight the fucking, you know, F-18s, F-16s and all that shit. And he's releasing that a week before Top Gun 2 comes out, you know, to kind of like ride the wave at the fucking same time. And I'm not sure exactly what all I'm allowed to say about it, but not to go into detail. I've been privy to a little bit of the behind the scenes shit. And like, I was creaming looking at the fucking B-roll. Like, it's supposed to be just like F-18s dressed up like MiGs, you know, fighting fucking actual F-18s and talking about how like the naval warfare fucking program or the naval aviation warfare program is like, you know, premier on the fucking planet, you know? Mm-hmm. But the other thing about Top Gun 2 that like the previews have got me a little bit like, dude, what the fuck are you doing about is like Maverick's a fucking captain. Even though he probably would have been an ensign in like the late 70s. And it's like, hey, dude, service limitations are a thing. Like, I don't care if you're a captain. They'd have booted you out by now. What's up, man? What are you doing?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. But I think it's just more the fanboy in me that I'm just like, I don't care. It's going to be a great fucking movie anyway. So I'm just like, I don't care about the accuracy. Just give me the movie.
Fucking Evan's in the comments talking about Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer couldn't do it because he got like some weird type of throat cancer. Like Val Kilmer can't talk anymore. Like what the sorry, I might have misread the fucking comments, but like I feel fucking really bad about that dude because like the two movies I remember Val Kilmer being in was, you know, Top Gun and, you know, being Batman when I was growing up, you know.
Yep.
You say what you want about fucking Batman Forever, but like that was there when I was a kid and I needed it. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's kind of sad to see him now because like he's got like, you know, when you see a picture of somebody, you're like, oh yeah, that dude's got whatever the fuck it is. Like that dude's got the cancer. Yeah, like, you know, walking around with the scarf around his neck, but like his neck's still kind of like hanging out, even though he's skinny. And it's like, dude, like that sucks, man.
I have a friend growing up that got that, and I'm just like, oh man, that I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Although fucking, I am glad they never made a Tombstone too, because that movie fucking, speaking of Val Kilmer, fucking stood up Paramount by its fucking self.
Also, Evan's talking about Behind Enemy Lines was supposed to be Top Gun 2. And I keep on forgetting about how good Behind Enemy Lines was. And it's weird, especially because it's Owen Wilson.
Did you ever hear the story about like why they made that movie?
No, not fully, no.
So while we were in Yugoslavia or Bulgaria or whatever in the fucking 90s, the Bulgarians, Yugoslavians, whoever we were fighting against, like, sorry, I'm not too versed up on this one.
Yep.
The war itself. Most because I watched it on TV and I was like, all right, cool, we're done. And I was like, what, 10-ish, maybe? Didn't give a shit. And then like afterwards, like, fucking whatever. But they shot down a fucking F-117. And afterwards they put out fucking like their like propaganda fucking like pamphlets or pictures or whatever, and it was a picture of an F-117, like that one crashed on the ground, and then like a cartoon went above it and said, sorry, we didn't know it was invisible.
No, I'd never heard of that at all.
It's pretty fucking boss shit. Because like, you know, on one hand, it's like, dude, like I'm on America's side of this fucking like argument, but on the other hand, it's like, dude, fucking, if you're looking at it from the underdog point of view, he shot down the stealth fighter. Good for y'all. Good for you guys, kids.
Yeah.
But there's a fucking interview. Fucking it's on YouTube. People watching at home, go look it up, and I'll see if I can find it again and see you later. But it was that F-117 pilot, and it was him meeting the SAM missile operator that shot him down. And apparently they're like best friends now. And it's this like weird bromance where it's like, hey, dude, you shot me down. It's like, I shot you down. Do you want to get some beer? Fuck yeah.
Honestly, I'd be totally down if that ever happened to me. Actually, thinking about that, do you know the date that happened on by any chance?
Been like somewhere between 95 and 97, but I couldn't tell you the date.
No, because I remember, I think it's a Russian holiday called May Day, and it's May 1st.
Mayday, going down.
Yeah. And it's funny because I remember hearing the story about May Day, about how the Russians shot down this American spy plane, and it just so happens to fall on my birthday, and I'm just like, okay, that's something that I can tie to my birthday, I guess.
All right. Well, I have Veterans Day, so yay me.
There you go. I was very close to having the assassination of Osama bin Laden on my birthday. That would have been incredible.
Well, I mean that's not an assassination. That was a hit job. There's a difference. although how important do you have to be to where it starts being an assassination instead of just like a murder, instead of just like getting killed?
I mean, I guess you can argue we're at war. You got killed. I mean, I guess you can argue that.
Right, but no one ever calls it like the Lincoln killing, or like when they murdered Lincoln. It's like, it was the Lincoln assassination, all right?
Yeah, true. I guess when it's not run by the government, I guess. I don't really know how to put it.
Well, I mean, besides Martin Luther King, are there any people that weren't in a government that got assassinated?
Well, I'm more talking about where the government wasn't doing the killing, like with Osama bin Laden, and you got the SEAL teams going in and actually taking them out.
Well, I mean, in general, though,
True. I mean, that's a whole new can of worms that we can possibly open.
Actually, Gaddafi comes to mind, but he got killed by an angry mob outside. But I mean, he was a world leader, well, not world leader, but in charge of a fucking country.
Yep. And then got a movie made about that entire situation.
Yeah. Well, two, because technically The Dictator was also one. And that movie was fucking amazing with Borat.
I have not seen that movie in a while. I completely forgot the premise of that movie. I just remembered this dickhead dictator. I just remember, I'm like, all right, this is political satire. It's funny. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I should watch that again. Fucking only like three things I really remember. I was like, one, bin Laden was living at his house and his like double got killed. The part where they're talking about a Ferrari 911, but they're on a helicopter or an airplane and like are speaking in Arabic, so everyone just hears blah 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 blah, blah 911 blah, blah blah while they're pointing at the fucking like World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was disappointed with the second Borat movie though.
Surprisingly, I think out of all the movies that he's made, I think I've only seen The Dictator. Surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah. That's something.
Go on.
No, that's just something I need to educate myself on.
Oh, well, the first Borat movie was fucking its own level of great, but the second one, like, it starts off where he's in prison because he fucked up his first movie. Because, in the movie's like a journalist.
Yep.
And he brought bad credit on Kazakhstan or whatever, but they released him from fucking prison, if I remember right. And he has to go back to America to, like, make another fucking, like, documentary or whatever. And he completely flops that, too. Just, like, completely fucks it up. But at the end, they bring it back to Kazakhstan, and it turns out that like COVID-19 was a Kazakh bioweapon, and they gave it to him before he went to America to like spread it around everywhere.
I mean, makes sense, right?
And I'm pretty sure that they got like halfway through the movie, and then they realized COVID was happening. They're like, we have a fucking opportunity right now.
We can make some big money. Let's go all in.
Yeah, and it was like only in like the last like 5 minutes where you found out about that. So that could have been a complete throwaway scene. Like they made the movie with its own ending, and then like before they release it, they're like, wait a minute, let's reshoot the last 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It's like, we have an opportunity here. We have a little bit of extra money in the budget. Let's do this.
Yeah. What was the movie where everyone caught? What was the Benghazi movie? Was it called 13, or was that a different movie?
No, it wasn't
13 or 12 hours or some shit like that.
No, that might be right. 1 second.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
I started watching it a few years ago, but I never finished it because I got distracted.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Like most of the movies that I watch, I'm not really watching. They're more like background noise while I'm doing something else.
Mm-hmm. What was the Benghazi movie called? 13 Hours. You're right.
Okay, all right.
All I remember is John Krasinski's in it.
Yeah, no, yeah, fucking John Krasinski fucking doing his shit, fucking hanging out, working at fucking Dunder Mifflin in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and then all of a sudden they have Pam.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch Jack Ryan?
Jack Ryan, no.
It's TV series based off of the Jack Ryan books, like Hunt for Red, some of all shit. But John Krasinski's the main character in it, and I thought he did a fucking banger fucking job.
Yeah, I've been trying to convince the fiance to watch that. Haven't been successful yet. How about A Quiet Place?
I haven't seen the second one, but I was extremely pissed off when you remember how at the end of it they figure out that loud noises distracts the bad guy or the aliens long enough to like shoot them. Also, spoiler alert for a movie that's been around for 5 years. I was extremely pissed off that like a bunch of rednecks didn't show up in like 1988 S10s blaring Pantera, and they just went around fucking like pow, pow,
I got two things. First off, see the second one. Second one's very good. Just to watch it. It was our first movie.
Is Pantera in it?
Unfortunately, no.
Slayer? Megadeth?
No. But I got a good story after my first point. Mm-hmm. So second one, it was our first movie, going back to the theaters, watching the movie. Excellent movie, great sequel. Did it, very much enjoy it. Second part, this is completely unrelated. So back in 2016, I got out in 2016, and me and my buddy, we went to Ozfest, not Fest meets Ozfest back in 2016 in San Bernardino, California. We watched Ozfest, couldn't find a hotel for the night, so we quite literally just crashed in his car for the night outside where everybody's parking or camping out for the festival.
As one does.
Yes. And as we are just sleeping in his car, we get woken up to protesters. So a bunch of Christian protesters decided, let me set this up. So there's like a fence set up to where the camping area is. So the fence, our car, and the protesters are on this other side talking about, hey, this is the devil's music, blah, blah, blah. They're being really loud. And they're waking up all of the metalheads. So all the metalheads are waking up. They start tossing eggs at the protesters, as one does. And we're both sitting there as both metalheads and good little Christian boys as we are. And we're just like, well, this is fucking awkward. Both sides are really annoying, and we want to deal with this. So what we did inside of his Camaro, he took the band Infinite Annihilator, blasted it as loud as he could, drowned out both sides until both sides went away, and we're just like, all right, now we can wake up.
Nice. So on that though, fucking well, two things. The first one was on my cheat sheet. I just had metal ? I saw a couple of your TikToks where it looks like you were shooting video for some metal band. Thing. And I'd like to go into that here in a minute. But Infinite Annihilator specifically is kind of weird because I don't like their music at the fuck all, but they've got some killer fucking album covers. Same thing with Cannibal Corpse. Couldn't give a shit about their fucking music, but holy fuck, are their album covers badass as shit.
I eventually wanted to get to that point where I can say that I've made one of those album covers, honestly.
Right? Another thing was art ? And we'll go into art and metal, whichever one we want to go into after this. But like
either one.
I was looking at fucking some of your art because you know before to go to the show I got a cyberstalk for a little bit. And one of the things that like I want as graphic artist, like I'm getting by fucking and by getting by, like I don't have a job, like I'm getting by like this, like drawing pictures of people's fucking dogs and shit. It's like, no, dude, like when am I gonna be the guy that makes the next fucking like Eddie from fucking Iron Maiden? You know, when am I gonna make the next fucking Vic Rattlehead? And like fucking I've gotten in good with some fucking bands. Not too many in America. A lot of English, Irish, and fucking Australian ones. Also, real quick, I gotta give a shout out to fucking goddamn my safe word is murder. Fucking absolutely fucking badass fucking punk rock fucking Australian, but I've not done any work for them. I've had their lead singer on here fucking talking. I love their goddamn music. Go fucking check that shit out. But I want to draw or paint or fucking like shit on a fucking canvas and smear it around. Whatever the fuck I got to do to make some album covers for these fuckers. You know, like I don't care. Give me 50 fuck. Well, I guess if you're in Australia, give me $300 so I can spend $50 on materials and then like mail it to you and I'll eat the rest of it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Fuck.
No, I get that. I used to be, I guess, the head roadie or groupie, whatever the fuck you want to call it, without the sexual favors, to my buddy's band out in Hollywood, California, which, by the way, Hollywood, California has the best local scene for small no-name bands. Hollywood, California absolutely kills it.
I would disagree with that, but like I would say it was number 2.
Okay, what's number 1 for you?
Yucca Valley, because that's where all the fucking people go to get away from Los Angeles. And their music scene is also people who are bands that, you know, mostly play in Los Angeles that want to get away from Los Angeles. So they go up there and it's like a smaller fucking crowd, but you're in a fucking bar that's like packed like to capacity. Like granted, it's only got 150 people inside of it, but it's like you gotta wait to leave till you fucking come in. But you know, like there's no fucking like barrier between you and the fucking band, and like, you know, while they're between songs and shit, it's like, let me buy you a fucking drink. I would say Hollywood's a real close number 2, but like there's this place outside of fucking 29 Palms up in fucking Yucca Valley called Pappy and fucking Harriet's. It's built to look like a tavern from the fucking, you know, like old fucking like Western age, whatever you want to fucking call it. It was like built in the 50s, and they built it to make movies at. Like there's to be like the fucking tavern fucking scene. There's a lot of movies with fucking like John Wayne and fucking like Clint Eastwood that happened in that fucking bar. But you know, in the 60s happened. You know, they got funding, started being able to build shit in Hollywood. That place closed down. Someone else bought it, opened it up. It was an actual tavern, but like kept the fucking like music shit going on. But there was shit going on to where like fucking I went there one time to mostly drink, but like, you know, their Facebook said, oh, hey, fucking like Bob fucking Mandolin and the fucking Bicycle Spokes are going to be here tonight. I'm like, sure. Go there, get a beer. Paul McCartney's fucking there playing fucking music. Like that kind of shit. And it's like, what? Pappy and Harriet's outside of fucking 29 Palms. If you're in 2-9 right now, listen, Marines, if you're in 2-9, go to Pappy and Harriet's this fucking weekend and keep fucking going there. You will see someone famous. And if you don't see someone who's already famous, one day, probably only 6 months later, you'll be like, holy shit, I saw them before they were famous. Like there's another chick, Jamie Wyatt. Fucking love her fucking music. She sounds like a fucking chick version of David Allen Coe. I saw her down there, and a year later, fucking like I'm holding her fucking vinyl in my fucking hands, like golden. Anyway, I'm sorry for the tangent.
Yeah, I forgot where it's going that originally, but no, that's good to know.
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about fucking wanting to be the guy that paints the fucking next badass album cover, like Iron Maiden Live After Death. Like, I want that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to. I started a band right before I left for the Marines, and they took off as I was going to boot camp. And then now that I'm back, they've disbanded and can't do anything about that. But I have my buddies' bands, and the TikToks that you've seen is my buddies' bands. They're doing their thing, and I'm trying to be their main camera guy. They have a few gigs coming up.
Was it the dude with the 5-string fucking? It looked like a Chapman guitar on your TikToks. It's probably from like April-ish.
It might have been their bassist, honestly. Which he's actually a Air Force vet. Actually,
okay, dude,
absolutely slaps, pun intended. But absolutely incredible guy. Did their cover playthroughs where they're just like, all right, just like set up on tripod, and we just want this video so that people can see us playing through our songs.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. Set up the tripod, hit record, and I just sit there until they're done playing. I'm like, this is easy.
Yeah.
But yeah. Other than that, getting into the art thing.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you have in your notes?
So there was 2 things on this. One was the 3D art where it's like a cube with these like pink spheres on the side of it, like floating over the fucking desert. That's the one that stuck up as far as 3D art went. And I was like, this is very simple, but like it conveys everything it needs to with that like level of fucking like mysteriousness. It's like, okay, so I mean, you're in this fucking like weird fucking like block desert fucking thing. You know, the sky is fucking blue. There's definitely sunshine coming in. Like there's no clouds in the sky. Why is there this like fucking like Connects cube floating in the fucking sky? Is this aliens? Did someone fucking unlock fucking God? Is the thing from the Fifth Element happening? What's up? What's going on?
I almost feel like you're going to be upset with the answer to this.
So that for a class.
Yeah, that was my final for one of my classes.
I feel you on that hard.
No, I was actually very proud with how that came out because it was so simple to make that image that you're talking about. But so the idea for that was I created that image and then completely scrapped that. That image had absolutely nothing to do with my final. I just thought it looked cool and I posted it. That's what happened. But the box itself turned into a Kyber crystal generator for this video that I was doing.
Okay.
So I was trying to show off some of my VFX skills. Turns out my computer is not up to par to my imagination. So what I had...
Wait fucking 15 minutes for fucking goddamn After Effects to catch up to right-clicking for some fucking reason.
Mm-hmm. Or what happened to me was I had the idea in my head. I created everything perfectly. The animations were perfect. And then when I came out to rendering it, it just did not render properly. Mm. So what that cube was the idea to the video was I get a random knock on my door, I get a package, and inside this package is this Kyber crystal generator. And with that, I can turn energy drinks into lightsabers.
Fair enough. The other one was under the digital art thing, and it looks like a bunch of I don't know how to say it, like buildings from Washington D.C. and they're kind of like hodgepodge, like fucking like photoshopped together, but like there's not too much detail in it. The background's beige. There's a couple of fucking circles like overlapping, but like you can only see half of what's in each circle. There's some like street lights and like church towers. That one also caught my attention. There's like one light of blue going through it, which I suspect is also a proving ground for something you had to do in class. Which, by the way, fucking, I do want to point out that like I fucking loathe that you'll, not you, but like me, I don't know, we'll, you know, post fucking like 5 or 6 different like original arts. No one gives a shit about them. You do some like dumb bullshit, uninspired shit for fucking class, and then everybody and their mom's like, oh my God, this is great. And it's like, I did that in fucking 5 minutes just to tell my fucking art teacher to shut up.
Basically, yeah. No, my professor for that class actually taught me a whole lot, and I'm very grateful for him because apparently I'm on the dean's list without.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I actually have not checked my grades, so I don't know why I wound up on the dean's list. But
I think the dean's list is just A's. As long as you have A's and B's, you're good.
Yeah, I wasn't trying, so
yeah.
I'm there to learn. That's about it. I don't care what my grades are. I just want to learn so that I can move forward and create awesome stuff.
Yeah, no, that's actually why I dropped out of fucking college, because like, well, on one hand, the art teachers that were there, I was there for their like first class. Like, oh, hey, cool. So I got some 25-year-old teaching me how to do what I've been doing for the last 10 years. And shit would happen in class, and it's like, they're like, well, how do you do the fuck? Hold on, I'm trying to figure out something real quick. I'm like, go to image, go to edit, go down here, do this. Oh, okay, thanks. And it's like, why am I teaching this shit? And the other part, like that combined with like, even if it is like fucking painting pictures of fucking people's dogs, like, well, I'm already making a fucking living off this, so, and you're not teaching me anything, so why the fuck am I here? Like, I'm not saying like my art's all that fucking great, but it's like, there's a threshold that had been reached.
No, I completely understand. Thankfully for me, I did have a really good graphic design professor who taught me a whole lot, and he's been in the business. He has like 10 years on. He's been in the business for a long time, and his biggest thing was just like, all right, I'm going to teach you the skills that are going to get you hired and actually will make you money on this. I'm like, all right, I appreciate this. This is amazing. My other classes were a bunch of people who had no idea what they wanted to do for a degree. And they're taking this class because it either sounded fun or it sounded easy. And a lot of the class was used to tailor everything to them. And I'm just like, I'm getting absolutely nothing out of this.
Yeah. No, that one teacher I was telling you about earlier, fucking like, wasn't the best with, I mean, she made some pretty good digital art stuff, but like wasn't the best with how to use the fucking program. Like her like shining fucking stuff was like with charcoal paintings, but and like, I don't know about you, but like for me, when I'm not having like a good inspiration for anything, but I want to draw something, like I just go on the internet or like at my dump folder of my fucking like computer and just like find random images and like find a way to mash them up. Apparently hers were drawing herself naked. So she'd show us these extremely well done fucking charcoal, not painting, drawings.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wouldn't exactly call this inspired, but like, I'm not upset looking at it.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have not run into one of those professors, but again, just having everything tailored for somebody who's not even going to be doing this as a career or be doing anything anywhere close to this, I'm just like, why? First off, I have the GI Bill. I'm getting paid to be here practically.
Yeah.
And these kids are paying to be here. What's the point? I'm not getting anything out of this.
Yeah, no, like I'm here for the technical aspect of it. Like, I'm not here to like, I'm not concerned with what it means to make art. Teach me how to do it.
Yep, exactly.
And I got really frustrated with the whole thing where it's like, we want you to do this. Cool. How do we do this? Well, part of being in school is figuring it out. And then I would go to YouTube and like some dude on YouTube would fucking like explain it to me in like 3 minutes. And it's like, okay, well, apparently this isn't actually hard. You just suck at teaching.
Yeah. Really, the professor is everything. And for that one professor that helped me out with a lot, he was the guy he's like, all right, well, I hate hearing my own voice, but I posted a video on YouTube for you guys to hear this. And every single every single week it was learning a new skill that none of us know how to do in like Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. And he was just like, all right, this week's homework is something that we haven't done before. You guys don't know how to do this. This is how you do it. I posted a link up on YouTube so you can just follow my stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm actually learning a whole lot for this. And I actually appreciate this.
Good fucking learning aid.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching aid, whichever one you want to fucking throw at it.
Yeah.
Now on that though, like what is your preferred medium then?
As far as digital or physical?
Yes.
Digital. I sent you what you posted for the Instagram post to promote this podcast.
Yeah.
I like using primal shapes as far as like circles, squares, different simple stuff like that to build images digitally. I kind of like that style of digital illustration. As far
minimalist.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like building complex things out of simple things.
Okay.
And I kind of take the same approach when it comes to the stuff I do in 3D as well, as far as what you saw with the whole desert cube thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's stuff going on, but at the same time, like you could very just look at it and be like, yes, okay, all right, I get that.
Which I absolutely loved how you had so many questions about that desert cube, and I'm just like, I just threw that together. I had nothing going for that. But I absolutely love that response too. So I'm just like, all right, I feel good now. Just a little.
Nothing is a waste. If it
Mhm.
sucks, but you learned something, that's great. And if it sucks and you didn't learn anything, well, I mean, I guess that's on you. But if it didn't suck and people appreciate it, then that's one thing. But at the same time, if it sucks and people appreciate it anyway, that's also a short answer is, or short response is, at the fucking end of the day, as long as you enjoyed fucking making it. Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Because there were a few things when designing that one specifically where the lights that I had coming out from the side.
Yeah.
I didn't follow any tutorial. I just kind of like, I'm like, I think this is going to work. And it works. So I'm just like, all right, this is awesome. I'm just going to post this to Instagram and just forget about it later.
Yeah. Well, that and like, I don't know about you. Like I don't know where you're like from, but like people who aren't from the desert, like kind of look at the desert with this like weird mystical fucking like, what the fuck is this landscape about? And anytime anybody who's not from the desert looks at a picture or a painting of the desert, they're like, got this thing in the back of their head, like what's going on here, you know?
Yeah, that was my favorite thing because I'm from Massachusetts. I'm from the Northeast. Being stationed out of California, I'm like, okay, so this is desert to me. Then I go out on the Mew and we go out into both the Middle East, and I got sent to Djibouti, Africa. I'm just like, oh, this
California's
is what
not the desert, turns out.
yeah. I'm just like, oh, this is what the desert actually looks like.
Yeah, because you think 29 Palms is the desert, but it's like, no, there's still a tree every fucking 100 feet. There's like brush. There's an animal. You can always see a fucking animal no matter where the fuck you're at. You get to fucking someplace like Djibouti or Kuwait, and it's like, oh, there's sand dunes, and that's fucking it.
Yeah. Yeah. I still remember the safety brief, or not the safety, the cultural awareness briefing that we had for that. And the guy was just like, all right, so you guys, most of you guys haven't deployed before, but you're going to experience what's in the United States. We got what's called hot. Middle East, you got fucking hot. And then an unfortunate third of you are going to experience what is called Africa hot. And I'm just like, okay. And then I was one of the guys that got to experience Africa hot during the hottest day of the year.
Yeah. Although I will say though that like fucking so what is it? I went to Pendleton and then wanted to go do like pre-deployment training up in 29 Palms. And everyone's like, oh my god, it's gonna be so hot up there. And then like I'm like kind of like buying into it. Then we get there and it's like, 110 fucking degrees outside. And I'm like, well, I'm from Florida. This ain't shit.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I imagine this, but like humidity on top of it,
Yep. Yeah. Which Massachusetts, I'm used to. I'm like, all right, I'm used to like freezing cold, but in the summer, I got the heat. But on top of that, I got the humidity as well. Yeah. And then going to Djibouti, Africa, I'm like, all right, it's about 130 degrees out here, but it's about like 80% humidity as well too. So I'm like, okay, fuck this. I never want to experience this again.
Now, can we agree to say fuck Ohio on this one? Because they're like, well, it's 100 degrees humidity, but then you're like, yeah, but it's like 85. Shut up.
I was in Ohio last week.
I'm
I need to go out there. The guy who's going to be my best man for my wedding lives out in Ohio. So need to go out there to ask him. And we were sitting at a bar, and him and his wife were just like, this is actually really nice for us. And surprisingly for me and my fiance, we're kind of hot right now. This is a little bit warmer than what we're expecting.
Well, like in New England, most of New England, you have that like fucking like ocean breeze fucking coming in, cooling it down a little bit.
Not on the western side of Massachusetts, though.
All right, fair enough.
That, and we're in the valley too. So even though we have very harsh winters, we still kind of get a little bit of a buffer.
Yeah.
Because my grandparents live on top of a side of a mountain, and where we live, we'll get about a foot of snow in one night, and they'll get like 2 feet of snow. And I'm just like, okay, well, we got lucky.
Yeah, no, that's where I'm at. Like, I'm in central Pennsylvania, up in the fucking Alleghenies, that fucking reach up, and like, so I live, I guess technically in a village. They call it a borough, but there's like 150 people here.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a stoplight, but we have a convenience store that's not a gas station. But if you want to go to Walmart, that's fucking, half-hour fucking drive away. But down where that is, it's always about 15, 20 degrees warmer than where we're at, just because we're up elevation wise.
Yeah.
So, fucking, we'll be driving around in fucking, there had been times where I'd go to school like the first fucking week of the fucking semester in fucking August, and there'd be snow on the ground here, and there wouldn't be down where the school was.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most shocking things I've seen in Southern California with the 4 years that I spent there. Was one day I was down, my first unit was down in Polgus, and walking to work.
Marines, what's up?
We were walking into work one day, and our master sergeant was outside with like this old school video camcorder, just like pointed at the hills behind us where the artillery would impact. And we're like, what the hell is he filming? Then we turn around, and it's just like, oh, there's snow on the hills right now.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. But fuck it, let's go to the beach.
Yeah, basically.
Dude, yeah, California is weird about that. I think it's just the fucking elevation differences, because you go from fucking like sea level to 5,000 feet up in like what, a mile and a half, 2 miles maybe. And to my knowledge, the only other place that does that's like southern France.
Yeah. That, I don't know what it was about Southern California. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't for the taxes, I just could not stand just being there.
Yeah. Well, that, and I like guns. So, I mean.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, that's kind of a big one. I mean, the military helped a little bit, especially I got certified as a combat marksmanship coach, or a range coach.
Yeah.
Honestly, my favorite job in the military. So much fun, because you get to dick around with everybody, and it's awesome. But yeah, being in the military in California, that was nice. Massachusetts, not friendly at all when it comes to guns. Not gonna lie.
I mean, I have very limited experience in Massachusetts. Mostly it was like, fucking a couple months ago, me and the wife were like, none of us have ever been anywhere in New England. Let's go on a road trip. We just like picked up spots, and the first disappointment was Plymouth Rock, and we're like, yep, the fucking rock. Next. And then we're like, well, let's go up to Salem, because everyone and their fucking mom on TV presents Salem like it's some like quaint little town in the middle of nowhere. It's like a Boston suburb. It's like,
yep,
there's supposed to be like log cabins and fires in the backyards, skyscrapers. Nope. Okay, all right. Well, fuck. We said fuck it and just drove to Maine.
Maine's nice. What part of Maine?
We hooked up into it. It was southern Maine. I don't think we stayed for more than fucking a day ish. And it was during COVID, so everything's fucking closed. So.
Okay. Because especially if you go into some areas like Old Orchard and Portland are actually fun areas to hang out in Maine. But
yeah, no, like we have like a list of places to go back to after COVID, but we're gonna give it a year.
Yeah, I have a so Best Man again out in Ohio. They're actually going to be coming out for October because we have the Eastern States Exposition, or the Big E as we call it.
Yeah.
It's an event that usually happens every single year. Obviously, COVID, it didn't happen last year, but it brings in like millions of dollars. And we just found out recently that is actually one of the biggest state fairs in the entire world, surprisingly.
All right.
Yeah, and also the apartment that I'm living in right now, we are literally just 5 minutes where this fairgrounds actually are.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so traffic is absolutely horrendous, and my fiance loves going more than I do. So usually, what I do, I'll DD for them. I'll drive down 5 minutes down the road. As soon as we hit traffic, I pull in the parking lot. All right, you guys can walk the rest of the way. I go back to the apartment, drink a little bit. Hey, we're ready to get picked up. All right, cool. Come back.
All right. Well, on that though, fucking, I do want to say we're at about our fucking time limit, and I would like to thank you for fucking coming on. And then also, can you tell us, the people watching this and listening at home later, where we can find you?
Yes. So I am a little bit of a rebranding right now. That's why Hipster Veteran is right down there.
Yeah.
So Hipster Veteran YouTube. I'm going to be uploading either today or Thursday my first podcast. It's more of an introduction to the podcast.
All right.
So the Veteran Hipster on YouTube, Twitch.tv, TikTok now. I officially changed the name on TikTok. And then probably later on today or tonight, I forget what time it is. Same thing on Instagram as well. The Hipster Veteran on all platforms besides Facebook, because I'm never on there.
Well, I mean, like Facebook's just for our fucking parents now. But on that, I want to thank you very much for coming on and ask you to hang out for a second after the fucking show.
Yeah, of course.
But on that, fucking everyone listening at home, thank you very much for fucking listening, and we'll catch you later.
Bye.